And I watched very closely about this story that was developing in Chile with the miners, the 33 miners that were trapped, and watched excitedly with all of you as the headlines came after the rescue of each of these 33 miners that were trapped, and saw on newspaper headlines titles like this one with rescue, with a picture of the first miner coming to the surface and the president of Chile, along with other ones with, like this one, the headline with each of the 33 miners who were trapped, with each of their individual pictures with this headline, 69 days, 33 miners, one chance, and then this great word, rescued. So a few days later, they began drilling 5-inch wide boreholes, trying to get down to the miners. That went on for a few weeks until they finally reached the level of the mine where the miners were believed to be. But because the drills didn't hit the shelter, they didn't encounter any signs of the miners or any sense of life. They continued to drill and work to where they thought the miners would have been gathered and been protected under the ground. And on August 22nd, the drillers literally heard someone half of a mile away tapping at the bottom of the drill at a depth of 2,260 feet below the Earth's surface. When they pulled the drill back out of the ground piece by piece, there was a note attached to the bottom of the drill. And in English, to translate it, the note simply said, "We are fine in the shelter, the 33 of us." 66 days following the collapse of the mine, they were able to reach the mine with the rescue capsules that they were lowering down. The drill broke through to the miners. They reported that they could see the nose of the drill, and the rescue cage was dropped to them. The cage was painted in the colors of the Chilean flag. It was 22 inches wide. It contained tanks of air. It had a microphone for communications and equipment to monitor the miners' heart rate, because they knew as the miners were brought up from the darkness and the heat that physically it would be a difficult thing for them to transition back to the surface of the earth. Finally, on October 12th, almost 2.5 months, 69 days after the collapse of the mine, the rescue began. It took 2 days to get everyone out, but all 33 of the miners were successfully rescued. The rescue operations were under the direction of a man named Manuel Gonzalez. He was referred to as the rescue expert, which I thought was a great title for someone. First of all, there was a feeling of responsibility, a desire to act and to work until the rescue was completed. He also said every miner was a miracle. Each one of the miners had a name, a personal story, a past, and a future that they were looking forward to. Number 3, every miner had loved ones waiting for them. In fact, when the miners came to the surface, they were first greeted by close family members who had been praying for them. Next, he said, many people came together to work on this great cause. All made an important contribution. Not one contribution that was made was a small one. Number 5, the miners played an important part on their own rescue. They had to be involved in the task of saving themselves. Next, he said, there are no impossible rescues for the Lord. The miners and rescuers had to have faith in God for their deliverance. Next, the miners described their ordeal as being born again. President Sebastián Piñera, the Chilean president, often said these words to the miners one by one as they came to the surface. As he embraced them, he would say, "Welcome to life." Next, trained men from the surface were lowered into the mine. They had emergency rescue training, medical triage expertise, and other vital skills to help the miners out. But the first man down was a fellow miner. There are clear images in the newsreels of him standing in the midst of the miners, explaining the procedures they would each have to go through. He had to explain how the capsule and other equipment worked so that they understood what mechanism was rescuing them. He had been through it himself and could explain it in terms they understood. Now, when we talk about administrative items, we're really talking about people. Like the experiences with the miners, we have a responsibility and we must work until the work is finished. Every student is loved of our Heavenly Father, is prayed for by families, and is of infinite worth. And there are no rescues that are impossible for the Lord.